Welcome to our alumni interviews. I'm Jake Cressy with the Marketing and Communications team. Joining me today are the co-founders and partners of Canada Immigration Partners. They are also, of course, Ashton alumni. I have Miho and Matthew with me today. How are you both doing?
Yeah, good afternoon. We're doing good.
Thank you.
Great to have you here with us. We're going to talk today about some of your experience at Ashton College and how it's helped you with your current careers. And we'll just get right into it. What led the both of you to pursue an education with Ashton College in this field?
Well, that's a good question. I think we should preface that with the fact that we're husband and wife. So we did our own immigration to Canada, and we did it on the kitchen table, and it took us a while. And we thought, this is quite an involved process. They want information presented the way that they want it, and it appears that there's lots of ways an application can fail. So that got us to thinking, well, maybe other people need a hand with that, so we started exploring the industry. And then we came across Ashton College. We were impressed by the teachers. That's where we met Ron McKay. He's our mentor, has been for the last 12 years. And we met Navina and Francis. And we were impressed by the teachers, but also the breadth and depth of the syllabus. So it was a good introduction to the Act and the regulations, and perhaps to the practice of immigration. But how did you?
Why did I choose Ashton College? Well, I chose Ashton College because of the location. Back then, we lived in Cole Harbor, and the school was only like 5 minutes walk from us. So that was a huge factor for me to be able to actually attend in person. There was no online program back then, so in-person class was part of the, there was no other options. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason I chose Ashton was it was a full-time program, and the other institution offered part-time. So it was important for me to complete within 4 months full-time. And that was the main reason I chose Ashton College to study.
Yeah, I think another thing was the campus was quite nice, right? You've got those different rooms, the breakout rooms that you can use. And one of the things that I really enjoyed that I perhaps didn't anticipate before we started the course was the diversity. So you're meeting all of these new Canadians as new Canadians ourselves, and it was a good introduction to Canada and its diversity.
That's excellent. Now, I am curious, what fields were you working in before you decided to enroll in Ashton College? Was it similar to immigration at all, or was this sort of a jump?
I was working, I don't know if you know, swap working holidays. I was there as a Western Regional Manager for over 6 years. So I was ready to change my career, and that made me think, what do I want to do? So that somehow had connections with immigration. I had a little bit of knowledge of immigration, but not so much at all. So that made me just lead through to the next level of the whole immigration field. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had done a lot of traveling in my 20s and 30s, and came to Canada. Originally, before I met Miho, it was snowboarding and mountain biking. So I've done a lot of English teaching around the world. Had worked for an investment bank for a stint. So the big attraction of immigration consulting for me was the ability to be employed and your own boss, and also the intellectual stimulation of regulations and laws changing, and it's never the same day twice, that's for sure. It's quite interesting, and there's a big kind of people component to it, which I really enjoy. So yeah, so it's a rich and fulfilling career path, and there's there's a lot of opportunities, but there are also a lot of challenges, which perhaps we'll get an opportunity to look at a bit later.
I'm sure we will. I'll bring it back to your studies for now. What did you enjoy most about studying at Ashton College? You mentioned a few of the features already, including its location and just some of the features of that. Can you speak more on those?
It's been a while. Well, okay. The instructors were all immigration consultants, so they have a lot of knowledge, like practical knowledge that they were able to share. So that was really valuable for us to learn.
And, you know, just to speak again to that experience and the breadth. So you had, you know, a refugee expert, and then Francis was more of a business and entrepreneur. That's where his expertise lay. And then Nevena, I mean, she was very good at the legal aspect and the interpretation. So it was great to sit with her and discuss legal points, or really analyze and interpret the act and the regulations, to get inside the head of the visa officer, because oftentimes, you know, we're in the business of helping people immigrate, and that means submitting a complete and decision-ready application, and knowing what goes into a decision-ready application is really important, and that was valuable experience there.
Right, and you got to see that from the perspectives of all these different sort of consultants. So your business side, your family side. Can I ask what form of or what field of immigration consulting you two specialize in?
Yes, that's. I mean, to answer that question, I mean, our specialization is we're quite generalist in that we only operate within in the immigration field, but the only things that we don't do are appeals, because we haven't had the need to, frankly, and refugee immigration. So our practice is quite broad.
We do everything except appeals
And refugee.
Yes, yeah. Refugee, yes.
And over time, though, we've found ourselves, I mean, although it's a broad area, you still need the depth of knowledge. And I think in any practice, sometimes you'll find yourself doing more of one thing than another. So, I mean, we do some criminal inadmissibility work, which is interesting. And I think you need a high competency for that. But then we do a lot of family class, study permits, some business immigration, and that's what keeps it varied, really, and keeps it interesting.
Right. And now, do you find in today's sort of immigration economy, if you can call it that, is there a certain form of application that there is a higher demand for or more volume of?
That's a good question.
Well, since COVID-19 hit us, we noticed there are more applications coming from outside of Canada. So those type of applications, previously, many people probably handled on their own, but because of the complications and frequent policy changes, we started to get more inquiries regarding the visa applications from outside of Canada.
And an increase in extensions, certainly. And the restrictions on entry to Canada, obviously that's created a line of business there. I mean, immigration, when you look at the numbers, I mean, you've got approximately 1% of the total population of Canada. So around 340,000 people immigrating to Canada each year. I mean, the vast majority of them are coming through the express entry stream, through either most of the volume is Canadian experience class, I would say. But with COVID and these restrictions, and if we don't see a vaccine, and we see a downward less international students, we could see things shift to a different category for a federal skilled worker, for example. So, I mean, the interesting thing about immigration is it's one of those topics that just kind of gets everywhere, and it's in the newspapers, it's behind a lot of stories. And as I said before, I think one of the key things that you need as an immigration consultant is to have a big picture analysis, but also to be open to change, and adopt a principle of life learning, because nothing stays the same for very long, and it always seems like almost on a weekly basis there's something new to learn. So I think that's important.
Absolutely. You sort of already covered one of my questions there. I was going to ask what some of the key skills are, but you've mentioned that adaptability, staying relevant. So my question to you would be, what are some ways that immigration consultants can stay relevant? What do you do to stay relevant?
Read everything.
Yes, every day. The change happens every day, so it's extremely important that you're on top of everything. And it's quite frustrating sometimes because the policy change happens every morning. When you wake up, something changes. So it is somewhat stressful, but it's such a rewarding job because you're part of someone's dreams come true. They trust you, they retain you, and you're part of their dream.
And that's a big responsibility as well. I mean, when somebody's immigration goals are reliant on your expertise and knowledge, sometimes you can feel the pressure of that, especially if things change halfway through, which can happen. I think the key thing is to understand the fundamentals of immigration and what's driving the program integrity of programs and what the visa officer wants to see. And after a while, I think you develop a nose for when a situation or a set of circumstances is getting complicated, and perceiving where potential complications, or we call them bumps in the road, might be. And I think that only comes with experience, but it also comes with knowledge. So, knowing your misrepresentation is important, and there's lots of exceptions to the rule. And I think the truth is there's a lot to know, and really you're always bringing it back to the act, and what the act says, and I think that is a good first principle.
Excellent. I'm going to ask, what advice would you give to people looking to pursue a career or just starting in this field?
I think, if starting in this field is, let me start again. 2020 is a difficult year to start an immigration practice. And I think there are three things that are behind that. One is obviously the COVID-19 situation, which has had an impact on immigration, no doubt. So what you're seeing is a weakening of demand for labor, because we have less visitors. So tourism and hospitality is one. The international experience class program is another, where we've seen that quite a marked weakening in demand, which is going to affect labor market impact assessments and work permitting. And then we've got on top of that the restrictions at the port of entry, so people can't do reconnaissance visits to Canada. They can't visit Canada, and that can impede a decision to immigrate to Canada, obviously. And then a third aspect I think you've got is remote working, where people working for Microsoft in Seattle are no longer getting that NAFTA work permit to come and work in Vancouver, because they can just do it from where they're at. They're on the same timeline. But to relate that to the question, I think that getting some work experience under your belt is crucial, and recognizing that you wear, as an immigration consultant, you wear a lot of hats. You're an expert in the legal field. There's a heavy administrative component, and then also you're a salesperson, you're a marketing person, and you're an accountant if you're running your own business. So I think you want to decide what you're good at, and delegate the rest, or that can be a good start. And really focus on your customer and your client experience, because referrals is the name of this business. Really, it really is important. It's what drives new business. So having the first 5 clients treated very well is critical, I would say, because that's how you start the ball rolling. And also I would say getting a good mentor. I think that's important, because I mean, we're a husband and wife team. We have complementary skills, and we're still left scratching our head on some cases. The level of complexity and the number of permutations that you see in the real world versus the theory that you get, you know, from reading the act, it can be overwhelming, and the level of complexity can get to the point where you can very quickly get outside of your realm of competency. So I think that the mentor relationship is important, because it gives you confidence to run cases past a more experienced person. But it also means that the client is protected as well, because at the end of the day, it's their immigration and their immigration goals. So yeah, those are the things that I would suggest.
Yeah, well, now you mentioned about keep 5 clients happy. The first 5 clients, I think is so true. I remember one of the instructors told me, actually, over, I don't know, 12 years ago, keep 5 of them happy. And look at us now, after 12 years. We currently don't have any marketing promotions out there, but we get clients. So I believe in that for sure. So keep 5 clients happy when you first start.
A perfect piece of advice.
Keep clients happy.
Well, thank you. You guys have talked a lot about your education experience and given, I think, some great advice for people entering the field. So I'd just like to talk about you guys and your business a bit. What are some of your future goals and aspirations?
Well, thanks for asking, Jake. I mean, we're presently at the point where we're concentrating on where we might go next. And I think what we would like to do is to use our brand to grow nationally, and have an immigration consultant in principal cities across Canada. And the way that we would like to do that really is to have under our umbrella. So you get the marketing, the website, which is important, all of the automation, you know, using Acuity to schedule consultations just saves so much time. All of the cheat sheets, the consultation sheets, and the eligibility assessment forms, and really to have that available to people so that they can, they don't need to be an expert in marketing. They don't need to be an expert in sales. They're looking after the clients, and there's some administrative help to ensure that they're submitting complete and decision-ready applications. So for 2021, that's our goal, to grow the business. And we've already got Stephanie in Nova Scotia, so we joke here that all we've got to do is fill in the blanks.
That's lovely. Now let's talk about the present. What's the best part of your job? What makes you excited to get up every day?
Well, I mean, it sounds cheesy, but I mean, first of all, there's getting paid, which let's face it, is important. But I think you do get a real sense of, you know, when you get the thank you cards and sometimes the chocolates from happy clients that, and if you've helped them through a difficult time, because that's another important thing we haven't really discussed is when you're meeting clients, you have to recognize that it's a stressful time in their life. You know, they're new to Canada, there might be students, they're adapting, sometimes there's some culture shock, they're looking for a representative that understands them and understands their needs. And I think it's really fulfilling when they get permanent residency and they send you that card or that email. That kind of makes you feel good. So
Yeah.
That's an important
part.
part.
As I mentioned, it is a rewarding job and you're part of their life. So we call our company Canada Immigration Partners. We become a partner to complete the application with them. So we are part of their dream to ensure that they're in Canada when they complete the whole process. Yeah, that is a good accomplishment.
That's marvelous. Now, I just have one last question. We've touched upon it briefly a couple times, but you mentioned you're a husband and wife team. What's it like working together professionally on a day-to-day basis?
Well, one top tip, if you find yourself in a husband and wife team like this, don't talk about immigration just before bed. That's important. I mean, I think we're very lucky. We have complementary skills, so that gives us the ability to problem solve from different perspectives. That's key. You know, as I mentioned, you have to wear a lot of hats. You know, writing a website and maintaining a website is a specific skill set, and it's very rare to have all of the skills that you need in one individual. So I would say that one of the big payoffs of our partnership professionally has been that you know, we've got different skills and people take care of the stuff that they're good at taking care of.
For sure, different skill sets. And my advice would be, it's not just a husband-wife team. Now everyone's working from home. The sooner you learn how to separate your work from your personal life at home, things will get better. You have to be able to separate your work. So when you're home doing your personal things, leave your work behind, because otherwise you'll always be thinking about work. So get better at separating your work from your personal life.
That is an excellent piece of advice, particularly these days.
Yeah.
We're coming to the end of this. Is there anything else you guys would like to mention that I haven't given you the opportunity to talk about during the interview?
Let's see. No.
I think that covers it.
I'd like to thank you both for joining me and doing this interview.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.